Hello there everyone, how you doing today? I hope you're all well. Today we're reading a horror story from our no sleep called A Man with a Pig's Head and a Teddy Bear Tie is Watching Me. An 8-year-old said so. Written by Cam Walker 22. If you enjoy, remember to like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below. Now without further ado, let's get started, shall we? I've tried to leave my office 3 times already. Every time I grip the handle, I'm unable to twist it down and pull open the door. I am scared of what I might invite in. Scattered around the wheels of my desk chair are scraps of off-white paper. After performing the Rorschach test on the little girl, I couldn't bear the sight of the ink blots. Ink blots that supposedly bear no meaning and suddenly looked like all of the things the girls had described to me. Pig heads, animal skins, body parts, and that wasn't even the worst of it. The girl had discerned details about me that she shouldn't know, couldn't know. For those who aren't aware, the Rorschach test is an exercise we psychologists use to better understand how our patients perceive the world around them, and how the lens of trauma may be warping the vision in their mind's eye. There are 12 cards, each one depicting a different symbol of an image. These cards are presented to the patient one by one in order, with the patient being asked what they are. I remember performing this test on a soldier recently returned from an active service in Afghanistan who had developed recurring nightmares. "What do you see?" I asked after sliding the first card in front of him. His tightly drawn mouth dropped open, pinched, defensive eyes opened wide. His breathing accelerated. Beads of sweat appeared on his temples. "My buddy, Brian. When the smoke cleared, that's what he looked like. God, I could see the dirt of the road right through the holes in his stomach. And those are his entrails. Oh, God." It's worth noting that upon seeing the first card in the test, the common healthy responses are, "Oh, that's a moth," or "That's a pretty butterfly." Come to think of it, this little girl had started off along those lines this afternoon, except she most definitely was suffering from a disturbance of some kind. That became clear as we progressed through the cards. Her name was the final one on my list, and I felt a wave of relief rush through me as I put a tick next to it and walked out into the waiting room. The day was almost over. "Annabella?" I called. A girl was laid on the front, scribbling a series of gray lines onto a notepad, but she didn't stir at the sound of her name, though her mother and grandmother did. They leapt to their feet and gathered their belongings before corralling Annabelle towards me. Some tears were shed, but the tantrum wasn't anything out of the ordinary for an 8-year-old being dragged from a pillar to post in an unfamiliar place. I shoved the trio into my office and confirmed the details of Annabelle's referral. Sudden emotional withdrawal, bouts of unresponsiveness, extreme lethargy. Blood tests had come back fine. The brain scans were normal. The conclusion was that the change in her behavior must be psychological. Annabella's mother and grandmother nodded along, paying rapt attention to my every micro-expression. Annabella sat herself on her mother's lap, continuing to scrape dark lines onto a page. I saw a pack of colored pencils poking out of her mother's handbag, but it seemed she was content with a plain graphite one. To better understand how Annabella reasons and thinks, I'd like for her to complete a Rorschach test. You don't have to leave her because I appreciate that may be uncomfortable for you, but it would be best from a clinical perspective if I supervise her alone. This way I can be totally sure that her answers are coming from an authentic place. Children are very suggestible, you see. The conclusions I'll be able to draw may not be as scientifically valid if Annabella is looking over at both of you every time I ask her a question. To my surprise, the 2 ladies were quick to agree with my suggestion. If the roles were reversed and I was bringing my daughter for a psychiatric review, I don't think I'd be as quick to let her out of my sight. I sighed as I held the door open for Annabella's mother and grandmother. I suppose they had reached a point of utter desperation in their attempts to restore the girl to her previous self. They reassured Annabella, telling her they'd be just outside, and made their way out of the waiting room. Terse smiles exchanged. I stepped back into my office, allowing the door to swing softly closed. "So, Annabella, how about we play a game?" I asked. There was no response. She was hunched over her notepad, with her back to me. Instead of persisting in trying to get her attention, I walked around to my office chair and wheeled it to a position slightly behind and to the side of her. The seating arrangement was deliberate and employed for the same reason I had given to Annabelle's family. I didn't want to inadvertently influence her responses. I reached across my desk and pulled a folder towards me. Withdrawing the first test, I placed it carefully on the desk in front of her. "Annabella, look at this and tell me what you see," I said, softening and deepening my tone of voice. Her eyes flicked up to the card and back to the notepad. "Bat," she said. It was the first time I'd heard her speak. "Very good," I said, and replaced the first card with the second one, anxious that if I wasn't quick enough, then I might lose my momentum with her. "And this one?" Annabelle glanced at this card for a split second longer, her brows almost twitching together, before she went back to her scribbling. "Blood," she said. I felt my jaw unclench as Annabelle's focus drifted again. The second card is the first to contain color, and this so-called color shock can induce strong emotional reaction in some subjects. Thankfully, Annabella was unfazed, but it did occur to me that while her answer was a common one in general, it was peculiar for an 8-year-old child to think of blood. I moved on to the third card. "Same as the one before?" She nodded at me. "Blood?" She nodded again. I placed the fourth card in front of her and watched as she uncoiled from the chair to plant her palms on either side of the image. Her tongue escaped her lips and she started humming a vague tune. "It's the pigman's face. He's always sitting underneath the slide in the play park." "A pig?" "Not exactly. He's got the body of a man, but he has a pig head. He wears a blue suit, and his tie has yellow teddy bears on it. Those are his floppy ears, and look, his long fluffy snout." Annabella stroked her finger along 2 drooping splotches of ink and the central trunk of the image as she spoke. "A man with a pig's head?" I asked uncertainly. "He doesn't have eyes," Annabelle said, as if that explained everything. Alarm bells rang silently in my head at her bizarre words. Could this be an abuser? A sick masked man grooming children in a play park? I made a note and moved on. I'd got her talking now, so I pressed on to see what else she might reveal. Perhaps the man with the pig's head and teddy bear tie was simply an invention, a character in a weird dream. Her eyes followed card number 4 all the way into the folder, and she even waved it goodbye. For cards 5, 6, and 7, her answers were largely the same. "Skins. Those are the skins he wears." "The man under the slide?" "Yeah, he changes skin sometimes." "Changes it to what?" "Oh, whatever he likes. Animals, birds, slugs, lizards," she said, giggling. Card 8 brings a change of pace to the test, with bright colors making a return. It can also brighten the mood of the exchanges between the person conducting the test and the subject after so much monochrome. I hoped for Annabella's sake that she started to intuit some conversational things from the remaining cards. Otherwise, my report on her was going to be dour both to read and write. Upon seeing the card, Annabella said nothing. She stared at it for a considerable amount of time before turning to me. With her index finger, she drew a line across her neck, just beneath the chin, and another one across her midriff. "What do you mean by that, Annabelle?" I asked her as her eyes blazed into mine. After a moment, she looked away. I moved on to the next card, and this time she drew the first line across her midriff. The second line she drew was across her thighs. I don't understand, I said. Parts of bodies, Annabella whispered. A silence fell as I digested what she'd said. I battled to keep my expression neutral because there will be one more card. I'd upheld the validity of the test to that point, and I did not want to ruin it now. The last card of the test is the busiest, a vibrant array of colors and shapes. Most people see a thriving ocean full of sea creatures. That was not what Annabella saw. Last card now, Annabella. You've done great so far. Now tell me what you see here. Her gaze flitted between the card and me, and she smiled awkwardly. It was almost like a guffaw. Her cheeks flushed, and she wriggled in the seat of her chair. These are all the pieces of your life the pigman told me about. The pigman knows about me. Annabella nodded emphatically. He's very clever, she said. What does he know about me, I asked. And Annabella proceeded to spew out sensitive information. My first, middle, and last name, my mobile number, my home address, my wife's name, the names of my 3 daughters, the town I was born in, my bank details. She knew about my peanut allergy, and that double pepperoni is my favorite pizza. She knew about my holiday to Chile in spring to visit Andean vineyards I've read about in Decanter magazine. She knew the chalk I polished the tips of my pool cues with was lime green. How? The pigman told me. I can ask him how he knows all this stuff next time I see him. No, you don't need to do that, I said, quickly packing away my folder and staggering to the door. I told Annabella's mother and grandmother that the girl was being bullied at the park she played at, and that they should avoid it in the future. Annabella skipped away holding her mother's hand, and I retreated back to my office. I'm usually 5 minutes behind my final client, but as said before, I dare not leave. There's a man with a pig's head and a teddy bear tie who knows everything about me, and can apparently change his appearance at will. I know I can't stay here forever, but at least in this room I can be confident I'm alone. Although what's to say he can't shapeshift into a spider or ant? What if he's watching me from beneath the skirting board right now? What if he's been watching me for days, weeks, months? How else could he have passed all that information about me to Annabella? Does he mean me harm? Annabella's words keep coming back to me. Blood, skins, parts of bodies. I think I'll stay here for a little while longer. Just a little while. And then I'll walk out to my car. Yes, but not yet. Not just yet. Thank you all for watching today's video. If you enjoyed, remember to like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below about what your thoughts on the story. Now I will see you all next time. Bye bye.